Welcome back to another episode of IoT Podcast. Obviously, we're still at the IoT Security Foundation. I'm delighted to be joined by Paul from Birmingham City University.
That's correct.
Rather than me do all the formals, Paul, tell us a bit about yourself, introduce yourself, where have you come from, why you're here?
Yeah, so I'm a part-time professor of cybersecurity at Birmingham City University, focusing on research, applied research. But in fact, I've spent most of my professional career in industry, most recently in the research department at BT, British Telecom. Okay. And I've worked in cybersecurity, I'd say, for the last 20 years, at least. So
you're quite knowledgeable around the whole cybersecurity thing?
I always say I know a little bit about a lot of things. My knowledge is broad, mostly shallow, but with a bit of depth in a few places.
I'm sure we're being very modest. What got you involved in the IoT Security Foundation? How did this come about for you?
Right, well, that started for me when I was with BT. BT was a founding member, but I found it interesting and rewarding. I felt I was actually contributing to helping solve the security problems, and it's still very much consistent with my role now at Birmingham City University, which is very much an applied research institution. So very keen to work with industry. IoTSF gives us exposure to industry's current problems and also gives us a channel so that we can use our research to help resolve those problems.
Which leads on really well. So obviously you've had a lot of involvement. So I'm keen to understand from your personal perspective, this is Paul, so away from the IoT Security Foundation, away from potentially the stuff you're researching at Birmingham City, you personally, what are your thoughts and feelings around security at the moment, IoT security, cyber security, whatever it might be? What's your personal thoughts of the direction it's going or where we're at right now?
Okay, it's often described as an arms race between the white hats and the black hats, and I think that is definitely true. And the two sides are locked in this struggle, and the technologies are co-evolving. So I look quite a lot at the implications of new technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc. And generally speaking, there's three implications of new technology for security. One is that if these technologies are being deployed, the new technologies are bringing new vulnerabilities and new things that can be exploited by the attacker. Secondly, the defender can exploit those technologies, and I've been I've been working with a company trying to bring machine learning into the Security Operations Center to assist the analyst. Because at the moment they're just inundated with alerts and the important things, the serious attacks can get lost in the noise. So we're looking at using machine learning to help them out there. And the other implication is that the bad guys themselves can use these, so they can employ AI techniques to search for vulnerabilities. They automate that search. It's generally true, I think, in new technology. So it's a continuous arms race, and unfortunately, it's likely to remain
that way. Which is probably very true because every day technology is evolving, right? And what might be in 10 years' time is probably very different to what we are now. So with that aside then, are you noticing any other real trends is probably the wrong word, but real consistency in certain challenges that keep cropping up with cybersecurity or the way that it's implemented, or the fact that it's not even implemented? Are people turning a blind eye to it? Is it the cost? Is it still people not really understanding the implications of it?
There is, I think there's quite a mixture. One of the speakers today was mentioning how a few years ago Microsoft used to be criticised for the insecurity of their products, but now they've turned things around, and if anything, the people you look to for a good example. I think in IoT, there's a lot of device manufacturers who are new to the market, maybe startups themselves. They haven't learned those hard lessons that the Microsofts and your enterprise security departments have learned. So they're going to have to learn quickly. Problem for the consumer is that these for little companies like that with a few small products, they can take the risk, and if they go bankrupt, they go bankrupt. But which could leave consumers high and dry with devices they don't trust and can't be maintained.
That's a word that's been mentioned quite a lot today, is trust, or whatever you're using. If you trust it, or you're not worried about, I think that's the end goal, right? Because I think there's a silver bullet that will ever, as Nick Allett would say, and as I've said in many of the podcasts today, to be fair, I don't think there's anything that's really going to completely control security or put an end to any risk. But is the end goal getting to a stage where we can use a device comfortably without necessarily worrying?
Well, you mentioned the key word there, which is risk.
Yeah. So
what you want to do, the general principle is you want to match your risk exposure to your risk appetite.
Yeah.
So it's always going to cost you, cost having, being interpreted generally, it's always going to cost you to increase the security and reduce the risk.
Yeah.
But you have to get into that Goldilocks position where your risk exposure and your risk appetite are aligned.
Yeah, perfect. You've dropped a couple of little hints in terms of advice that you would give, or subtle directions to go in. If you were to give one main bit of advice for anybody looking at IoT security or security, is there anything that really jumps out to you as this is something that from the start really consider?
Well, I think I'd just go back to risk. I mean, I think that is the fundamental thing. You can't solve every security problem, so you have to focus on the important ones, the ones that have the highest combination of likelihood of them happening and significance of the impact. So focus on those and let the little things look after themselves to some extent. Yeah,
perfect. Look, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
To sign off, it's probably good in case anyone's got any questions or wants to know a little bit more about some of the stuff that you've said. Where can people find you? Are you on social media? Email address if you want to leave it, anything like that.
So you don't want me to give you a song? Or
no, you can dance if you want, although the room that we're in is not quite that big. No. So
no, I'll resist the temptation. I am on LinkedIn. So I use LinkedIn for business and Facebook for social purposes. So you can find me on LinkedIn. That's the best way.
Perfect. Look, thank you again. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Happy to meet you.
And I'm really glad you came.
Well, thank you. I'll let you know whether I am when I see the video.
Perfect.